Broadcast live.
Are you missing me like I'm missing you? I just gotta know if what I'm...
Two questions. When these things are happening, do you voice it out? Do you stand your ground, or do you tell people? Because you, as a person, it's very important to protect your peace. So sometimes some things are better left unsaid.
Yeah.
But then there's scenarios where you have to assert yourself so that people know where you stand. Do you find that it's easy to do that for someone in your position, or is it rather safer to just walk away?
I walk away. I won't lie to you. That's my biggest flaw and my biggest strength, I think. It's I don't like coming at people, because sometimes I won't even understand your situation. Maybe you have a reason you're doing something or you're saying something, but if I don't agree with what you're saying, or I don't agree with the direction you're heading, is I'll have a conversation with you, try and make you understand a different point. But if you're not trying to hear me, I can tell when someone's not trying to hear me. I just walk the other way. It's like, okay, I wash my hands clean, because there's no way forward without you getting mad at me in this situation. Because I've learned that people take offense so easily, especially when you're honest with them. So I've learned it's just better to just go your own way and carry on and help who you can. It's a principle I learned from the Bible. They say dust your feet to move on to the next city. It's, if the people won't listen, you just need to dust your feet and move on, and keep spreading whatever message you have to spread, and keep helping the next person, and not tie yourself down to somewhere you're not wanted.
And how do you still find the strength to help people, because you're very passionate about that? The Warehouse, the Wolf Pack, if anything, it looks like you've taken parts of yourself and put them into some of these artists that you're working with, and allowing them to run. How do you still find the energy and the time and the resource and the passion to work with people after everything you've been through, or through everything you're going through? Or is that an outlet for you?
It's an outlet, yeah. It's actually, you hit it on the mark when you said that. It's an outlet. Like, I realize it is my passion. It's what I enjoy doing. I enjoy helping. I enjoy like seeing someone flourish and see someone who I believed in succeed is like, it's almost like, you know, like when people say they won an award, a SAMA award or whatever, and they're like, that was the best moment of my life, whatever. That's the times 100. That's the feeling I get every time I see someone who I know I helped, who I know I made calls to do this and put them into certain positions, that I did things directly influencing their careers, and seeing them succeed and seeing other people talk about them and hype them up. It's actually like, it makes me like super happy. And when I hear other people talk about it, it's like there's such satisfaction. I remember being a kid when I wanted to become a film director, and I'm still going to be a film director, by the way.
Yeah.
I always used to say, I want to sit into my own movies and walk out, sit in a movie in the cinema and walk out and hear people talk about the movie and say, that was amazing. Or have kids, like when we were kids, we'd walk out and try to imitate things that were in the movie.
That's cool.
So I wanted to see that, and I was like, it's the same thing I'm doing with music. It's like, I will sit at a restaurant and see people listen to a song and someone saying something about the song that's playing, and I'm like, they have no idea that I actually submitted that song on radio for the first time, and I did this and I was involved in that, and they out there enjoying this, and they have no idea I had any influence in that. That satisfaction is amazing to me. Like, it's just like my girlfriend's sitting there, she's smiling because she knows like how much I smile, and like, it makes me happy when I hear someone talk about someone. It's like, oh, this is the most amazing artist ever. And I'm like, I remember a time when we used to play her music and then nobody cared.
Yeah.
And everybody would just like look, and I was like, we're gonna change this. And I knew that what she was capable of becoming. And now hearing people saying that this is the most amazing this, and I was like, that's exactly what I thought 3 years ago when nobody was listening to me.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah, so like that's satisfaction, that's the happiness I get.
That's pretty dope. That's pretty dope. Watching a documentary, you got all your family members and community members to speak about you and the work you do. And you could tell with some of my family members, they also they experienced your pain. So obviously they don't experience it from your side of things, but you can tell that kind of a void that your success brought to your family. And how has your family dynamic been through everything, through the big times, through the tough times, and even now as you're thinking of taking a step back from the mainstream media?
It's, my family is like, we're very diverse, by the way. Like, our family is like, is a weird dynamic that most people wouldn't understand. So my family is like, my mother is like the stronghold in my family, like my intermediate family. She's like the backbone and the rock that like our family is founded on. So like when we went through like the toughest times, like people won't understand like when I say this, but we went through like proper tough times. My mother was like scrounging and working hard to take care of many kids, not just her kids. She had like 8 kids to take care of in the house, and she's one lady, and there's obviously like people in the family that are always going to do their own thing and decide, I just gotta do my own thing. So my plan was always to like help her and sort her problems out to a point where she could just like relax for a little bit. And when I reached the point where I was able to do that, and I was able to like help her and sort everything out, that was like, that for me was the solution to everything. Because if she's happy, she's taken care of, the rest of the family is happy, and it just rolls off to the rest of the family. And like, I think everyone in my family is a good space. I hardly even talk about what my father does. He's not in the country right now, so I can talk about it. He had a history as being what they call a gangster. So that's his history. He's got a deep history in the criminal world, and he left it. And when he left it, that's when the struggles came for us. So it was difficult, I understand for him, it's a difficult transition from being able to have fast money and big money, and then suddenly you've got no fast money and big money, and you're meant to do business the legit way, and things didn't work out at all for him. So we went from having money, being the rich kids in the hood, to being the poor kids in the suburbs. So we were like, we lived in the suburbs and we had like nothing. Electricity would get cut all the time, water would get cut, wouldn't have food in the fridge. Like, we'd struggle with just meals, just trying to eat, but you're in the suburbs. Do you understand that this, it wasn't uncommon in the hood, in the townships, but in the suburbs, it's like the worst place to be that kid who doesn't have anything, because everybody else doesn't understand your problems. If you're in the hood, everyone understands, there's mechanisms, there's all, like, you don't feel it. But you, like, being a teenager growing up in the suburbs and having nothing was so rough. And it was like, people don't understand when I say it was rough. It was like constant, like, I used to be like, sometimes like pray, why don't we just go back to the hood? Like, I'd rather just be in the township, to be honest, like, because I wouldn't have to like explain why I can't afford to go on this school trip, or why I can't do this, or why I can't do that. And I mean, fortunately, my mother's always been at that backbone who sacrificed a lot. So like, I was able to start a business in high school, and that starting that business in high school made me like the person I am today, because I started thinking different. I started hustling for myself. I didn't mind doing hard work, and I worked hard, many jobs. So I was like, it created a personality that could sustain himself and help other people. And I guess it what made me into the Aewon Wolf I am, which is the person who loves helping other people. So that family dynamic is it's down to my mother. Like everything I have and everything that my family has is down to what my mother taught me and how she sacrificed and always cared for other people beyond herself.
Shout out to Aewon's mama, man. It's,
Yeah.
it's the mamas that really like keep us together when things get going.
Very true.
Shout out to her and the rest of your family. So you just finally dropped your album, and it looked like it had an undertone of sadness. It's kind of like you threw it out and you're like, okay, here you go, and you kept walking. You know, why did you do that? And also the way you titled it was Most Underrated Album Listen. Almost as if you knew that exactly what you're saying is going to happen, and people are not going to give a shit. So why drop it in the first place? And after dropping it, why not push it? Like maybe you had previous plans of doing that. Like,
Yeah.
what was the whole dynamic going on with Mural?
So with Mural, the album was a long time coming. Like it was a hard. Like I worked on that album very hard, and I knew it needed hype because I knew that what it was designed for was to be a game changer, be very much like an album that's gonna like change people's mindsets. There were certain songs in that album that were meant to be like proper full-on singles, and when I went through that decision to pull back from the industry, that's when I changed the title of the album. That's actually like where I kind of decided, you know what, this is gonna be the most underrated album. I just pray they listen. So and that's why I added the listen, and it actually turned out that it actually made an acronym, and the acronym worked with the concept of the album, and I was like, Mural, geez, God works in amazing ways, but it just made sense, and I was like, okay, cool, I'll title it Mural, put the message that it's the most underrated album, people need to listen, in the title, but just call it Mural so that people don't get it straight away. So they have to make the effort and actually try and listen. And I put it out there, just put it out there, and I left it. And I did I think I did an interview with Slicker explaining a few things. Did like very minimal, because I was like, let me push it for the first week. Let me put it out there, let people know it's there, but leave it and not promote it, not do any proper like marketing the way I planned to do it, because I didn't want to be in the limelight anyway at that stage. I was trying to pull back. I was trying to turn down gigs. I was turning down gigs at the time, and it was like, let me get the fans that I deserve. You know, like, let me get the fans who actually listen, who are gonna try. Let me lose everybody that's not here for me. Like, if they're not here to hear what I have to put out there, then so be it. Let me lose them. Like, I don't need to keep anyone that's not supposed to be here. And that was the plan with releasing the album and putting it out there. It was almost like a strategy to say, if you do listen to this album and you do pay attention to this album, and this album helps you in any kind of way, it's because you cared enough about me as Aewon Wolf, not because of the type or the adverts and all this other stuff I was doing, because you cared about something that you connected with me that made you follow and go and check out the album. And that's why I just left it there. But it's like, it's also like, I also underestimated. I was also wrong. I was a bit unfair. I was being selfish with that album as well, because Perfect got picked up by, I think, 5FM, the song Perfect that's on the album. And I used to just send out the songs. Like, if I felt my spirit moved me to send out a song, I'd send out a song and say, here's the song, here's the latest song. And I sent out Perfect, and then I didn't even try and like submit it for like proper playlist. I wasn't trying to get playlisted or whatever, but I was like, let me send it out. If people pick it up, they pick it up. They don't pick it up, they don't pick it up. It's whatever. So that song Perfect got picked up by 5FM, and then a lot of people started hitting me up about the song. And it started being messages I was getting like on Twitter, Facebook, specifically about the song. And I realized when I put that song out, just by pushing that one song, I was actually helping people. There's people who were telling me that they were going through similar situations, and that song helped them in those situations, and that's like their favorite song they've ever heard from me, and I realized that music is a healing tool. It's a tool that's meant to like help people, and I was like being very selfish by not giving them, at least trying to push something towards them and give them something that's gonna like make a difference for them. And like with that song I just said, what, let me just start releasing some stuff, and that's when I started working PSA.
In hindsight, do you regret that decision now that you're saying that, it was a bit selfish? Do you think you could have still gone ahead and pushed the album either way?
Yeah, I really, in hindsight, I really think that I should have, even if I turned down gigs, even if I didn't, do stuff that I didn't want to do, but I should have just released the album. I should have promoted the album.
Because that's still your work,
Yeah,
you want people to get that.
And there's a lot of stuff on that album that I feel like could have helped a lot of people, that was actually like meaningful. I was going through stuff. So I mean, I'm not mad at myself for doing it. It was done. So it's like I've grown since then. I've grown to a point where I understand myself. So it did help being out of things for a little bit. So I understand myself. I was able to fix myself, be better as a person, like physically and mentally. So I'm not mad that I did it, but it was selfish, and I've learned from then, and I've learned the power of like the music, especially when you stay true to yourself. It actually affects people way more than having necessarily the #1 song in clubs or on radio.
On Choose Love, you say that you're going back to your original sound of fusing pop rock with hip hop and traditional sounds. But I still feel like it feels somber. When I was listening to it, you don't sound like what you sound like on PSA. Or maybe the message was different, but you sound somber. Is that intentional? What's the message, the overall message on Choose Love?
With Choose Love, Choose Love is a mixtape leading up to the last album. So what I decided is I'm gonna release music, because there's lots of music I haven't put out, or I haven't released, or I haven't pushed, that don't, like, people won't understand where I'm at right now. A lot of people didn't listen to PSA. A lot of people don't know about PSA, because PSA was during my hiatus. It was during a time where I was
you all need to get PSA.
completely
That's
out.
Incredible. That's incredible.
When I was completely out. But PSA did its job, funny enough, because PSA, I'm not gonna name any names, but I know certain people listen to it because I can tell by their change in sound. I know PSA affected the right people
Now that you actually
in a
say
positive way. Like PSA came out. It came out like
early
a while.
2017.
Yeah, early 2017, before Black Panther and all this other stuff that got people excited about being African and all this stuff. It actually came out before all of that, and it was like at a time where trap was at its peak, and like local trap was, for me, was everywhere. And every kid was coming to me with music, asking me to help them, was sounding exactly the same as someone I heard in America, and was sounding like someone I've heard outside or from the West. Like everybody did not have anything that you could say was African. And I was like, you know what? Let me release this tape. And let me scare some people. Let me let this tape, because I know certain people follow me and they listen to me. They won't admit it. Very big artists, like, listen to what I say. And it's like, I knew if I can affect their mindsets and change how they think, then it will trickle down back to these kids who are coming to me every day. because they don't know what they're doing. They're just looking at who's the hottest guy in the country right now, and who's
Following
the biggest.
the trend.
And they're saying, oh, if he's doing this, then that's what I need to do to be as big as him. So I said, okay, let me do this PSA, public service announcement, and probably South African in the same title, so it's double entendre. But it's like, let people find themselves and go back to doing stuff that makes them South African, that makes them being African. Because some of the biggest artists locally who were hot at that time were making the most Americanized music ever, and it was a trend going the wrong way. And I was like, no, we need to pull it back a little bit. And I just decided, let me use my influence to influence the influencers. And that's what PSA was for, just for
Shut up.
influencers.
It works. It's powerful.
Broadcast live